What's going on, everybody? Welcome into Jack Ramsays, Danny Marang, Brandon Sprague. Back live, back from Vegas, back alive from Vegas, which not always the case. We had planned to do this on Wednesday when I returned Tuesday morning, but I'm still not fully recovered, and it's Friday. Brandon shot me a text like, hey, you want to do the podcast? I'm like, we should, but I don't want to. I'm hurting physically, mentally, emotionally. I'm wiped. So let's go ahead and push till Friday. So
yeah.
How you doing, buddy?
We're glad to have you back. I just, I know I've been to Vegas. I've felt probably what you felt. Fun fact, I've went to Vegas, flew back on a Monday morning, and I was severely hungover. Went straight from the airport, straight to the radio station, did a 3-hour show. Still, to this day, the worst show I've ever had to do.
I told Dusty flat out that will not happen. My flight got in at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah,
and I went. He's like, "Are you going to come in?" I go,
No.
And the horrible thing about this, I mentioned this on air. It took me almost 3 hours to get from the airport home because
of the traffic.
Because some ass clown on I-84 couldn't move his car out of the way.
Oh,
I wanted to die. I was like, I specifically booked the flight so that I was land at like 9:15, 9:20, so that morning traffic's gone.
Yep.
Nice clear path.
A good thought.
And it ended up taking me almost 3 hours because it took me 2 hours to get from the Portland airport to my in-laws' house where my car was. And then construction season turned basically the entire back roads from Beaverton to Newburgh into one lane each way.
Yep.
And so, yeah, that happened. So by the time I got home, I wanted to die.
Well, it's good to have you back. We have a lot to get into. We've got tons of questions.
A bajillion questions.
I just want to let it be known for the record. You would have been playing hurt Wednesday. I'm definitely playing hurt today.
Indeed.
Went somewhere with the fam yesterday. Had no shade. I was in the sun for almost 4 hours, and I'm pretty sure I got sun poisoning because, man, I feel all kinds of weird. So bear with me today, but we got a lot of questions. Let's just start this before we get to the questions because we do have a lot of questions. I want to try to get as many as we can. A lot to talk about with the Clinger. A lot to talk about with Rayan Rupert, who turned it around after a rough first half in their first game. Overall, though, mood of Vegas with this draft class compares to other years how?
None.
Just no juice?
None. I mean, the primetime game, the very first primetime game was Bronny. And the only reason it had juice is because LA fans are just like, me like Bronny.
Yeah.
And boy, was he bad.
He's a second-round pick for a reason, right? And borderline second-round pick at that.
Buddy, it was tough.
I know.
It was tough. But outside of that, no juice. Reza Shea and Sarr faced off following that game. That was the number 1 versus number 2 pick, and I thought it was a really good game. I popped in over there for that. Took in a bunch of that game just to see those two live in action. But the gym was mostly empty most of the week.
Which is crazy.
The reality, it just didn't have the juice at all.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're not particularly sexy players, I think, for most people.
Yeah, and next year, I'm telling you right now, that place is going to be packed all day from the minute the doors open till the door closes. The first 3 days will be packed.
I had heard that Bronny's first 2 games easily, usually the first and second picks go against each other. There's some buzz, and it's just like nobody cared about that game.
No.
It was only Bronny and whatever else fan base was there.
Yeah, no, nobody cared.
That's wild.
Yeah, it just did not have the juice at all.
Yeah.
Like the Blazers, they had their first game, and it was relatively empty on day 2.
It's disappointing, but we kind of expected something like that with this draft class for sure.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of questions. Let's just start. I'm going to dive right in. I loved, by the way, that you tweeted for these and you just spelled my name out.
Yeah, that tells you the mental state that I'm in. Instead of putting your Twitter handle, I just spelled out your name.
It's great.
You know what's funny is I did that right after I texted you, and whenever I pull yours up, I always just type your name in.
And then it autofills.
And then it autofills on my phone too.
Yeah.
And I think I just did the exact same thing when I did the tweet 5 seconds later.
That's hilarious.
And so my brain was just like, autofill. Yes, good. Smash.
That's all right. We're playing a little hurt, but we're ready to go on a Friday pod. Let's start with Zach. What has Bjorken shown since his firing from Indy that gave Portland confidence in hiring him as the lead assistant? All of the negative stuff written about him makes him seem like a huge red flag for young dudes we're trying to develop. Also, and I'm kind of glad we get to this because I've got thoughts, and I'd love to hear yours. Thoughts on Bill Orm speculating Blazers don't think Scoot is going to develop much more, and therefore they withheld him from Summer League to not tank his value. So kind of a two-part question to open things up.
I didn't see Orem speculating on that, but on the first part of that, as far as Bjorkgren, he's been working with the Blazers for over a year. Like, so they're familiar with him. Like, he's worked behind the scenes as a consultant for a year. Was it like 16, 18 months? So they're not unfamiliar with him. And like, I'm going to say this, and people are like, oh, you're carrying water for the team, but I'm saying this as holistically as a thing. Coaches make mistakes early in their careers, typically when they're first-time head coaches. Very few of them are successful. Like, well, Steve Kerr. Like, yes, when you have one of the 5 best players, 6 best players of all time, and you get a generational defender and another top 5 shooter of all time, yes, you look pretty good. But for the most part, first-time coaches aren't good. There's a multitude of things that can go wrong. How to run a team, the right attitude to have, how to communicate, being able to trust your assistants, Adrian Griffin. There's just a million different things that go into being a head coach that most 90% of first-time head coaches get wrong, and it doesn't mean they can't grow. Terry Stotts fell on his face twice before becoming a head coach in Portland. He was kind of like a bargain hire, if everybody remembers. Like, we
thought he was a stepping stone for the next era, whatever that was going to be.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And Stotts ended up coaching here for 9 years and being a really good coach. And I think that's the case with Bjorkgren, is that he's a very smart guy. But I think he needed to have a attitude check. You know, and sometimes it can happen privately. Unfortunately for him, it didn't happen privately. It happened very publicly, and there was a very in-depth pieces written about him that were not favorable at all. In talking to people, I've gotten mixed reviews, good and bad. People definitely have their opinions on him throughout the league. The one thing that I hear more often than not is he is smart. And if the Blazers are going to take a chance and give a guy an opportunity, they had him basically in-house for a year and a half to kind of look under the hood. And if they like the basketball acumen and they're comfortable with where he's at personally and professionally, then yeah, I think it makes sense for them. And on top of that, they weren't in the best of shape to be able to go out and hire assistants. Chauncey's done a lame duck season. Like, that's going to impact who you can get, unfortunately. But I think that's mostly fair in that regard. On Bill, as far as the Blazers thinking Scoot isn't going to develop more, I think there are people that think that he's going to be just fine. I think there are people who think that he's going to be okay, and then I think there are people in the organization who kind of go, I don't know. Because having just watched Modest Buzelis and Ron Holland right before I hopped on here, and having seen them both in person with the G League Ignite and then seen them again while I was down in Detroit, the Ignite did absolutely not a single player good.
Yeah.
Basketball-wise. Financially, great. Right. Development-wise, I think it hurt every single one of them. Tyler Smith, Scoot Henderson, Jalen Green, Jonathan Kuminga, Modest Buzelis, Ron Holland, every single one of them. I think it was detrimental to their development. I don't think it developed them one single bit. I think it was absolutely horrid for the development. Jalen Green is just now starting to put it together. Kuminga is starting to show some flashes. Like, I think they're talented players. I think there's some stuff there, but I think that it was very bad for their development because it was just a rat ball. Throw the ball out, go. There's no real structure to it. Stuff was constantly changing. Guys are fighting for the scraps they can get on a day-to-day basis. I don't think it's a conducive environment for guys to grow up in, especially if you're not mentally and physically ready. Like, it was like, well, you know, guys like Kobe and Garnett, they came from high school. And I'm like, yeah, you're talking about like 1 in a million, 1 in a billion type guys. And they also had like insane work ethic and concentration and ability that you just can't fathom. So, yeah, those guys are exceptions to the rules. But I think for the most part, it hasn't done them any good. And I don't think we're going to know where Scoot's going to sit until after the season and have a firmer grasp. But look, this is, when we came into this draft, all things being equal, Brandon Miller was the guy that I was like, yeah, give me the 6'9" guy with a ratchet, because there were just less questions.
I had Heiken on when you were gone on the radio show and got his thoughts, and he had, I kind of think I agreed with him, because originally when it was announced the roster, I didn't really make a big deal of it. I'm like, yeah, I get it, whatever. What I hadn't known, and I told him this, I didn't follow what other teams were doing in Summer League. So I wasn't following that Jaime Jaquez was going to play. I wasn't following that Brandon Whitmore was going to make like a quick little appearance. And again, this doesn't have to be the end-all, be-all. But I think I changed my position of watching their very first game when they looked like dog-ass and they could not even dribble the ball up. There is an element to what you're talking about that I think is true. And even albeit for a half or a game. It just would have been nice
some
to
semblance.
See him. Yeah, something. And by the way, I'm going to defend Orem a little bit. I think Orem's point is basically like this. It's like, can we see where this is at, even if it's just a small sample size? And some of those guys I named, they don't need to be playing Summer League. But I kind of like that they did. You've referenced Devin Booker before, going out there and just absolutely torching the Blazers.
Yeah, Luis Montero got eviscerated. And it was
I would have personally, I would have loved to seen Scoot in that first game coming off those Clingan screens and just seeing him operate. He didn't need to go score 30 for me. Just seeing what it is so far, quick little sample size, pack it up, hang out. We'll see in training camp. That's I changed the position on that once I saw other guys were playing, and I think that's where Orem was going.
I don't think it was, real quick, I don't think it was a big deal, like where you are. I think I would have liked to see him in a general sense. I'm kind of there where you are. But he did pick up a knock last year at Summer League. And Shaedon did a year before. And I had heard that Scoot had a little bit of a tweak working out heading into Summer League. And I wonder if that played into that.
Well, that's what Heiken kind of said. It seemed like there was maybe some injury concerns, which is why the team, because he said Scoot wanted to play.
Scoot wanted to go. I know for a fact Scoot wanted to go, and the team made the decision. Now, could there be a hesitance or a reticence of like, we don't want to put him out there? I don't think it's that far, but I do think there are people around the team that do have questions about how high Scoot's ceiling really is.
Yeah, I think we all do. This one from Rob said, before the draft, Danny wasn't a big fan of taking Clingan because of his archetype as a big man. Has that changed at all as some time has passed since draft night, or are there concerns still there?
My concerns on the archetype are still there. Like, you saw how good he can be defensively, which is what we talked about. Like, he's an absolutely massive dude who controls the paint. And that was when we were talking about, like, what does he bring to the table? Absolutely insane rim protector plus passer. Like, we ticked those boxes. We knew exactly. The questions I had, particularly as it pertains to Scoot Henderson. If you're putting Donovan Clingan and Scoot Henderson in pick and roll, what does he do? Because you saw not great finishing around the rim right now.
He struggled offensively.
Not a ton of control. He's got really good hands, but the gravity of him is not, he's not going to catch lobs above the rim. He's not a vertical athlete. He is very big, but it's not like it's Rudy Gobert where you throw the ball up 3 feet above the rim and he goes and gets it.
Can I just interrupt real quick on that? You might be right, but I also don't know. Because
these guards are not doing him any favors.
Nobody's throwing him a damn lot.
That first game, I wanted to scream, put the fucking ball up!
I was screaming that in my garage.
I was right there. And it was just
not even one.
Stop putting it like on a line drive. It was driving me absolutely crazy.
Drove me nuts. It's been driving me nuts.
Yeah, so...
But he's got good hands, and so far, I think we'd agree, the hands are great because when he's catching, he's looking. He's such a smart player. His passing is good.
His play on the short roll where he found Rupert, he catches it, I'm trying to remember exactly, catches it with his right hand, almost with his shoulder turned back to the basket, and he's able to redirect and fire to Rupes. And it was credit to Rupes for recognizing that the big stepped up and the dunker spot lane was open. And it was credit to Clingan for knowing that and could feel that Rupes was making that move. And he just put him on a dime. And I went, oh, hello. And again, those kind of things I like to see. But I do wonder how clogged that paint is going to be with those two running that action. And that was where I was just like, okay, let's see how this works. Because it's not a direct comparison, but it is in a sense. He rushes like Nurk does around the rim. Where he's so big, it's not the flip shot, it's that he rushes. He's not controlled. His feet are very happy feet. Just tap, 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 tap. And I'm like, big fella, you've got hands like baseball mitts, and you're massive. Take your time. Put shoulder in chest. Elevate.
Yeah.
You're good. So, the questions I have are offensively and have always been like, okay, how do you play 4-on-5 here? Because offensively, I don't know how he's going to be as a rim finisher. And look, Casey Holdall has rung the bell. Like, look, man, he's been shooting the hell out of the ball in practice. Like, the other coaches, I'm like, what do you think? They're like, he can shoot it. Like, I know
he had a 3 last game.
But I mean, like they swear in practice that he can he's got soft touch.
Yes.
But I think that's still a ways off. But as far as like the general archetype, I do still have questions as it pertains to like if Scoot is in particular is going to be the point guard, because he's got to improve either drastically as a finisher or not as drastically, but enough to where it matters as a shooter to get some separation that makes sense.
Yeah, I think the thing that really sticks out for me when you watch him is, one, you see the basketball IQ. You see kind of this pedigree. Smart. I mean, it's a little thing, right? Like, to me, and this is a tiny thing that may not matter a whole lot to everybody. He had a play. They played their second game. I forget who they played.
Philly.
Who was it?
Philly.
Thank you. He played against Philly, where he got the ball in the first half, 3 seconds left, had it at the left elbow, turn, and I went, shoot it. And he kicked out wide open Kris Murray. Murray missed the shot. He ran over to Murray, basically dapped him up and said, keep shooting that shot.
Yeah.
Like, those are little things for me that I value. And he's never going to be a guy, I think, that goes to a locker room and says, I only got 9 shots today.
He doesn't care how many. He does not care about how many.
He does not care.
Legitimately does not care about his touches. Not one bit.
I know the percentages look awful. He's struggling to finish the ball, and we'll get to, we obviously know the positives, but he's a hard worker.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna put some money in the tank of this dude's gonna
betting
work
on development
and that development I think is gonna come a lot quicker than maybe we think. So I'm loving what I'm seeing from him.
He hates to lose more than he likes to win. That's a real thing. Like, I interviewed him after that first game when you could tell he had jitters.
He trashed himself.
Yeah, he kept beating himself up over and over and over.
Stop that. It's not good for your mental.
And that's what I said. That's why I go, okay. I kind of like brought him back. Like, you've been real tough on yourself. You've told us everything that you don't like. Was there anything that you're happy with in your own performance? And I'm like, come on, give me something, big fella. Like, you're beating yourself up here. It's game 1 of Summer League. It's okay. And he goes, you know what? I'm pretty hard on myself, so I'm going to say nothing. And I'm just like, all right.
You had 5 blocks in your first game in Summer League. Like, what are you doing here?
I got him on the next game, and I asked him the same thing again. And he was like, I was a lot better. I was like, I made some really good reads. I was proud of my interior defense. I didn't get caught making bad plays, and I was just like, okay, there you go. Yeah. Like, but losing kills him. It kills him. Like, you can just tell. And I'm like, part of me wanted to be like, oh, prepare yourself, brother. You're gonna lose.
And he hasn't lost in 4 years.
Yeah, I'm like, you're gonna lose more games in this next year than you've lost in the last 4 years combined, and then some.
Yeah.
All right.
This one from Daniel: why do the Blazers only partake in Vegas Summer League instead of maybe that the one that was in Sacramento or San Francisco? The Warriors had one, the Kings had one. Just wondering how come the Blazers didn't participate in that.
For the most part, most teams don't. They only do one. They used to have the Denver Review in Denver, the Orlando Summer League. Like everybody just does the one for the most part. It's kind of funny. The teams that are all playing really well in Vegas right now are all the ones that played at the California Review or the California Classic.
More practice time.
Yeah, I mean they just played more. That's all. That's all it really is. So, but yeah, I'm totally okay with it. Like 4 Summer League games is more than enough. It's more than enough.
I'll be honest with you. I don't really want to watch tonight. So I'm just like, maybe I'll watch that Saturday.
If they decide that Kris, Rayan, and Donovan aren't going to play, which
they shouldn't,
could very much happen.
Yeah.
You're just looking at agent favors.
Yep.
Like that's the rest of this, and it's like I'm out. So I mean, I'll still watch it because I'm a sicko, but
sure.
I am not going to like dive into it. Although. Jackie Hui, I might, which we'll talk about a little bit.
We had a question on Jackie Hui. So this one from Joe. With Clingan performing well in Summer League, Blazers look like they might have one of the best, deepest center rotations in the NBA. Where would you rank the Blazers' big man group against the rest of the league?
I mean, depth-wise, it is the best.
When healthy, yes.
Yeah, when healthy, you have got 4 NBA centers. Not like kind of centers. Like you've got 4 no bullshit NBA centers. You've got a 20-10 guy. You've got a guy who legitimately should have been Defensive Player of the Year. You've got a guy in Donovan Clingan who is probably going to be on a short list at some point in his career. Not for Defensive Player of the Year, but like an all-defense team. I could see him making an all-defense team.
Danny, if he's going to get 3 to 4 blocks in games, he's going to be in deep boy conversations. Doesn't mean he'll win it. But
I don't think he's going to get there because Victor and Chet exist, and they can just do more.
Sure. I'll give you the yes.
Yeah, and Evan Mobley, and like
he'll be mentioned in the conversation of guys who are incredible.
Sure, top 10 defensive big. Sure,
yeah.
100%. Which that's how you kind of work your way into an all defense. You have a really good year. I was talking to a front office guy, and he's like, "So what do you think Clingan does this year?" I'm like, 20 minutes, 18 minutes a night, 6, 8, and 2. And we kind of started laughing. I'm like, his per 36 numbers are going to be just batshit crazy. His per 36 is going to be like 12, 16, and 5. You know, it's going to be like, what? Like, you're just going to, like, how is it that high? Because honestly, that's where I think he's going to end up. I damn near nailed Scoots last year. What I said, 13 and 7.
13 and 7.
He ended up like 15 and 4.
I thought it was 5.
Or 14 and 5. I think it's 14 and 5.
14 and 5.
Like it was like right there. It's like you just gonna get a feel for where guys are gonna be, and I think if he plays 18 to 20, which is where I think he ends up right now, he's gonna be like 6 points, 8 rebounds, like 1.8 blocks. Like I think his block rate is gonna be astronomical in the league. One thing we haven't talked about much with him, and I know we've got other guys to talk about. He's doing this in under 26 minutes a game, and he's doing it without fouling.
Yeah, he cut the fouls down substantially after that first performance.
I mean, just for an NBA rookie big to not foul, Greg Oden had like 13 fouls.
Yep.
Like it's the Greg Oden, Dwight Howard rule because those two guys fouled egregiously in their summer leagues. Adem Bona was using every foul he had for Philly this year. So for Donovan to be out there that long and to be that important as a rim protector and to not foul, I was actually really impressed with how good he was by not putting his hand in the cookie jar and mostly staying vertical.
This one from a Blazer fan. What's the most random jersey you've ever owned, and does it beat a number 7 Dan Dickau jersey?
It does not beat that jersey. I have a jersey rule. I would never got a jersey for anybody on their first contract. So that would
like even as a kid.
Mm-mm.
That was a thing you had as a kid.
I wanted somebody to be there for a long time. Like I wasn't.
You wanted like a proven franchise commodity
before I got a jersey. Yeah, so
gotcha.
It was proven franchise commodity as a kid, and then as an adult, I realized, second contract.
Yeah,
like, that's basically what I was looking for.
Can't beat Dan Dickau. Most random and impulsive jersey. Probably when I worked at Just Sports at Lloyd Center, Sebastian Telfair came in his rookie year. I was obsessed with Telfair. I'd watched Through the Fire. I bought in, and I literally grabbed it off the rack, looked at him and said, "Would you sign this?" And he went, "Yeah, I'll sign that." And I grabbed it. I bought it. He signed it. It's in my garage. Probably the most random I have.
That's a random one.
Very random.
I've got like some bunch of throwbacks. Like I've got like a Theo Ratliff throwback.
The Rattler? You got a Rattler jersey?
I got a Rattler jersey in there.
That's pretty random.
But I didn't. But then again, I got that one off the internet. That wasn't a.
Oh yeah, okay.
You know what I mean? Like it was like I bought that one probably like 10 years ago. I was like, oh, that's Theo Ratliff. Ooh, I'm gonna go ahead and snag that real quick.
This one from Matthew: Will Jackie Way get the last two-way spot? Why so few minutes in summer league so far? Excuse me.
Because Kris and Rayan are gonna monopolize those minutes for sure. I will tell you, like I knew very little about him coming in.
Me either,
buddy. That jumper is wet.
He's fun,
but
he's got an intensity.
So he is big. He's legit 6'7". He's built.
Remix.
Yes, he's got the Exhibit 10. If he got the two-way, I wouldn't be shocked. Just talking to the team, they love him. He's super competitive. Over in China, they call him the Chinese Kawhi Leonard.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, so I thought you might dig that one.
Yes.
But that transition pull-up three, I did when he let that thing go, it was like, I don't know who he is, but I like that.
Yeah. No, I've loved him. I didn't know anything about him. I'm like, hey, look at us. We got an Asian cat out here just lighting it up right now. Got me super excited.
That 3-minute stretch, he was the best player on the floor.
He had a Jeremy Lin moment. He just couldn't be stopped.
I was like, corner three, pull up three, pump fake drive, and then bullet past the Clingan. I was like, okay.
This one from Cobb Deep. What's the starting lineup? The season starts tomorrow. I think this is easy.
It's very easy.
Very easy.
Ant, Shaedon, Denny, Jeremy, D.A.
Wait, go through it again real quick.
Ant, Shea, Denny, Jeremy, D.A.
Yeah,
it's like I'm
not even a debate.
I'm not even like it's up for debate at all. I'm telling you what the start. If the roster does not change, that will be the starting lineup. Unequivocally, that is the starting lineup, guys. Like, that's not me going, I think this. No, this is the starting lineup. So, for all those, school needs a start.
Not as long as Ant's here.
Not as long as Ant's here. The same thing I said last year. Shit ain't changed.
Yeah, Nathaniel asked if Time Lord's healthy, which seems like a big if. What do you see the center rotation as next season?
I think they might try to play Rob at some 4.
He's athletic enough for it, I think.
Yeah.
In small doses.
So I think that's how they try to squeeze him out there. Play some 4 next to DA, play some 4 next to Clingan. I mean, good God. Clingan and Rob, good luck scoring inside. Ugh.
Give me some Twin Tower action. I'm all about it.
Imagine just throwing a lineup out there. Let's just, for giggles. Ant, Shaedon, Denny, Rob, Clingan.
Yeah. That one would...
It's an interesting lineup.
The thing about them that's interesting, because we know they may not get a lot of dubs, it's like how many different... Because I think Chauncey... We'll see where this goes. Is this the last year or not? I think Chauncey's just going to get weird. I think Chauncey's going to have so many... We're going to go on Cleaning the Glass and look at all of the rotations and be like, man, that lineup... Oh, this group's played together. Oh, that group's played together. Because you've got so much versatility, length, and size... Why not try everything? Just see what works.
He's already said that he's going to.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
you have nothing to lose. Again, we haven't talked about this yet. 22.5 wins.
Yeah.
That's the line, folks. I've seen people like, I don't know, I could see them winning like 36, 37. I'm like, really? Because I can't see them winning anywhere close to that when the car is completely upside down on the freeway. Like, that's not how this is going to go. Real quick, in the comments, Ruben Macedo asked a question about intangibles versus Brandon Royer Dane, but he says, I'm in Paraguay and I love the show. Look at that. Jack Ramsay's going international. A little Paraguay.
Shout out Paraguay.
Hey, look, we got Australia, we got Canada, we got Paraguay. Well, I don't think we have any Bonzians anymore because Nurk left. They got very...
No, I think we still do.
You think we got some hanging on? I
think they became P1s.
They got really mad at me. Anytime I would say anything bad about Nurk, they just would send me very...
Well, you did piss Nurkic off himself, so yeah, they probably...
Yeah, and guess what? Him and I still are good. So, you know. But
shout out Paraguay.
But I just want to shout out Paraguay. That's dope.
This one from Ty. Do you see Murray and Rupert having a role in the rotation this season, assuming there are no additional moves? Seems like Tybal, Kamara Walker would be ahead of them in the bench rotation.
Post-February exists, folks. Yes, I do see minutes for them.
They will be
that
playing.
Post-trade deadline, they go play 25 a night. What you talking about?
Yeah. I want to give a shout out real quick because we're going through these questions. I'm trying to get through them all as possible. I bagged him a little bit. Game 1, like Rayan Rupert, man, like show me something.
That first half, 6 turnovers was brutal.
He looked incompetent.
Yeah.
And he's really changed it around for himself in the Summer League. So I want to give a shout out to Rayan Rupert, even though he's probably not listening to this podcast, because I like to see the turnaround. I'm rooting for him to be good.
I will tell you this. Roops is filled out. He's probably put on 8 to 10 pounds.
He looked bigger.
He's bigger. Like, he's clearly worked on his body. He is so long, man. He is so freaking long. He's 6'8" and a half now. I think he's got a 7'2" or 7'3" wingspan. Like, he's an alien.
Yeah.
Like, he's had a couple steals where it's not like he's like timing everything. It's just like, my arms are long, poke. You're just like, whoa, how the hell did you get the ball from there? And a couple guys that handled the ball have had the same kind of, that's a little much. But outside of that first half, I've loved Rupes. And even in that first half, I said it on Twitter, I'm like, because he started like hezzy, tween between the legs, like real comfortable with his handle, which you never would have seen him do last year. Then he lost the ball, and then went the other way, and I went, oh, Rupes, buddy, come on. But he didn't shy away. Even after 6 turnovers, he didn't turtle. He ended up having like 11, 6, and 4 in the second half, and I was like, he wouldn't have done that last year. He would have turtled. It would have been a disaster. And
his confidence wasn't completely shot from that. And that was positive.
No, and he's been very confident this year at Summer League, much more comfortable. Just everything about what he's been doing, I am here for. He told me he wants to be more of a point forward this year, like more of a 2-3 than 3-4.
Yep.
Which, look, man, if he turns into like a viable 2-3, 6'8" plus, who can dribble, pass, shoot, defend, you're like,
be huge.
Ooh, that's a spicy role player.
Jason wants to know, how hot was Vegas? Hot, really hot, toasty, or goddamn?
So when I landed, it was 114. When I left Portland, it was 66. So the temperature damn near doubled. The day before, it was record-breaking 120 degrees.
I had friends in Vegas that day, and they were like, I couldn't believe it.
And it's funny. It's like, oh, what's the difference between 114 and 120? Death. That's what's the difference is. Like 6 degrees is like, what's the difference between 84 and 90?
Yeah.
What's the difference between 94 and 100? It's a real thing. Like, it's like, oh crap. We got a couple thunderstorms that cooled things off twice, which was really nice. Spent some time down by the pool with the wife. Had a nice little palm tree that offered some shade over the pool.
There you go.
So I'd be in the water while in the shade, and I was like, oh, this is good. Did a little lazy river. Got one of those pre-mixed pina colada strawberry daiquiris that's just like nothing but well liquor. But my God, did they put a lot of it in there.
How much was it? $80?
No,
$50?
It was like, that one was like $14. And
that's a steal.
Boop. It was huge. Pounded that thing. And then I got called up on stage during the David Copperfield show.
All this. So did you raise a hand? Were you audibly laughing enough where he noticed you?
No. So what happened was they threw like a rubber frisbee out into the crowd, and wherever it landed, like that person was going to give him lottery numbers because he was going to do this thing where like, hey, I already have all of the numbers that you guys picked. And I was like, okay. So it goes and lands on this one guy who's from Estonia, speaks almost no English. So getting him to talk was difficult. He throws it from the other side of the auditorium, and it lands on my table. And my wife looks at me and goes, nope.
I'm not going.
And so I stood up. He asked me what my lotto numbers were, and I gave him 2 numbers. He goes, all right, I need to ask you something personal. He's like, when was the last time you and your, well, I guess maybe hopefully her, had sex? And I looked at her, and I went, yeah? And she was like, oh, God.
Put her head down.
Yeah. He goes, how many days? I go, how about hours?
Hey, yo.
Whole crowd goes crazy. I start, dancing. I start doing the Caddyshack dance, have a little bit of fun with it. Got called up on stage, go up there, and he does the lotto numbers things, and then he has us move to this other part of the show where he made a 1948 Studebaker appear above my shoulders.
That's insane.
It was batshit crazy. I was just like, what on earth? It was nuts. Me and the dude from Estonia were both there, and we both looked at him and was like, what? It was just, he's old, but he still got it.
Magicians, man.
Magic's cool. I mean, we all know
Magic is cool.
We all know it's tricks, but it's pretty cool. Not gonna lie.
There's a reason Star Wars is popular.
Turns out, yeah. Let's see. Hold real quick. Judith, hi guys from the Philippines. My husband is from Portland, Oregon. So look at this.
Wow.
We are international. Jacked Ramsays international.
Us. We're in the Philippines too. That's dope.
Prestige worldwide.
Prestige, world. Why? He wants to know the best food you had in Vegas. We got a couple questions around this.
Yeah. God, I went to lunch in the Wynn at Cipriani's. Had some tagliatelle with veal sauce. That was magnifique.
Yeah.
We did Gordon Ramsay burger, which, buddy, that's a good burger. That's a good burger. Where else did we go? We went to Wolfgang Puck restaurant. That was really good. Trying to remember what the hell I had there. There's so much food.
You stayed pretty on the strip, right?
Yeah, I did not. Well, with the exception of after a game one night, we went to a diner, and it was the best diner I've ever been to.
Really?
Everything's made from scratch. Like crazy. I was there with Tony Jones from The Athletic, and he got a patty melt with curly fries and a strawberry shake the size of my head.
Ooh.
And buddy, fresh like shaved potatoes, like battered. Oh God, the patty melt, like fresh grilled onions on rye. It was like, it was incredible. I ended up getting steak tacos, and they made the tacos with New York strip steak.
Ooh.
Yeah. So
you can't even identify what your favorite meal was.
No, it's just like hands down, Vegas has the best food in this country. It's not. It's not close.
Ooh,
it's not close.
That's a hot take.
It's not. It
is a hot take.
You can get whatever you want, wherever you want, at any time that you want, and it's great. You have
the being open all night thing is an advantage. I'll grant you that.
And you have more 5-star chefs there than probably any other city. Even probably more than New York now. Don't get me wrong, Portland's good, LA's good, New York's good.
LA's pretty good, man.
Look, Vegas is undefeated. It's so good.
That'd be a good poll question. Best food city in America.
Everybody's going to pick their own. It's Vegas.
Well, I mean, I think you have your natural contenders, right? And we're a little biased here because we love
Portland does have good food. It's just the volume just isn't there.
We'll have to ask one of our listeners is a chef, Ricky. We'll have to ask Ricky what he thinks the best food city in America is.
I like it.
Would be a good question for him to answer. This one from Anton. Do you think it's better or worse for the team's future? Jeremy is on the roster next year. If gone, more developmental playing time, team is worse to capture the flag, and would clear up what other young pieces, draft assets we are working with.
Totally fine. I'm in the exact same position as I was last year. He's not blocking anybody from playing. It was like, oh, Tuman. He's like, Tu's fine. Tu's still going to play 28 minutes a night. It's totally fine. If they get the 2 firsts from the Lakers, great. As I understand it, Clutch was hoping to help facilitate a deal there, and they got the Lakers to say that, yeah, they'd be willing to trade two ones for Jeremy, and then when it came time to do it, Pelinka balked.
Yeah.
So, which isn't the first, second, third, or seventh time that's ever happened. So,
I just think they're better off to hold them and wait for the season to go.
Yeah. No, I mean, if you get 2 ones, great.
Yeah.
If not, roll into it. And I think it's totally fine. Everybody's like, they have to do everything possible about the tank. Jeremy Grant has not played basketball in Portland past fucking February in 3 years. Stop worrying about that. Like, stop. Stop worrying about it. There is no team in the league better at going and steering that bitch off a cliff than the Portland Trailblazers. None.
Not the last couple of years.
No. They know what's at stake. Unabashedly. People were already excited for Cooper, Brandon. After that Team USA shit.
Oh, it's insane.
Brother, I talked to probably 25 people that were in that room for that, and every single one of them went, you're going to see Wemby level egregiousness.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to happen again. Like, you have 5 teams that are no bullshit already there. Already there. 6, really. That's already, like, no doubt about it. They're not winning 25 games. And there's going to be a team that picks up a bunch of injuries. There's going to be another team that's like, maybe we need to pull the ripcord. And then they end up like in Atlanta, and all of a sudden they're 10th. They're like, oh, shit. And they win the lottery.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's
right.
14.5%, 14% is totally fine. But it's not the end-all, be-all. We see that. It doesn't always matter. The Pistons have had the worst record, 3 of the last 4 years, and they've ended up 5th over and over and over again.
Haven't had a number 1 pick, yeah.
It's like, you do what you can, but organizationally, this team, you do not have to worry about them losing games.
They know how to do it.
Yeah, they will pull the right levers to make sure what needs to happen happens.
Jimmer's Army, a little down the road, but Shaedon contract extension looming in near future. Are we looking at a max deal? I'm assuming Shaedon is, but what do you see here the value might be?
No idea. He's played 1 season of basketball.
I think it's too early to be getting into that stuff.
I don't even think the team can honestly be like, yeah, no, we're open to discussing it. Like, if they're open to discussing it at like $15 million a year, sure. You know what I mean? Like, but that's just not where they are. I don't think Shaedon has shown anything yet to be a max, even on the fun max, anywhere close to that. If he comes out and balls his ass off, which I think he's perfectly capable of doing, then you can start having the discussion going into next year. But I think you're also going to see teams just get to the whole like RFA status with guys. I think you're going to, with the way the CBA is now,
second apron.
Why would I commit money right away when I don't have to? And like, I feel bad for players in the sense of like, feel bad, like as bad as you can for a guy who's going to make $200 million. But also like, if I'm a team, I'm just not touching that unless you were absolute, like the Franz one. Like, we talked about that. I was like, they gave him the max.
Yeah. But like, aren't they kind of stuck in a spot to have to do that? Because if you don't do it,
then you let him go to RFA status and you give him the money next year.
Yeah. Or you lock him in, he plays really well, he turns the shooting around a little bit, and it ages well.
I think you're fine. I think you're fine though. Either like this was my biggest complaint when Neil Olshey gave CJ McCollum that money twice early. If they aren't a all NBA level player, you don't need to cross that bridge. Like, well, you need to make sure they stay happy. No, you don't. No, you don't.
You need to make sure the team keeps winning and is in the best position to win is what you need to do.
Yes, and I think this CBA is so punitive and so like pushing down on how structurally difficult it's going to be to get things done that GMs are going to, for the first time in a very long time, have to wield that power.
Yeah. Blaze the Nugs asks if I prefer the stretched out Abuela or Soy Boy Extraordinaire as my permanent nickname. I would argue my last name has kind of been my nickname. But I'm good with either way. If you want to call me
Sprague,
Spraggy, Sprague, Sprague. I've heard it all my whole life. Those are kind of my nicknames. But he does ask, would Kris Murray, what would he look like with the confidence of Dion Waiters?
Confidence is an issue for Kris.
Yeah.
He's told me as much.
He just has a little bit of that Clingan thing. Gets down on himself.
Beats himself up. And the shooting hasn't really been there this summer yet, but all the other stuff has. I do believe Kris will figure it out and be a competent level role player. I do think he'll figure out the shooting enough to where he gets to he's like a 36% 3-point shooter, because I know how hard he works, and I know like mentally and how he is as a person. I think he will figure it out. Now, will that be here? I don't know.
Yeah,
but like I do think he will figure it out.
Big Hoff wants to know: do you think the trade market's stuck until Markkanen's extension date on August 6th, or will something happen before then?
I mean, Zaire Williams got traded, so something happened.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I even then, that window is so tight, and I don't think I think Golden State's going to be too stingy to get Markkanen. I just don't.
You don't think ultimately they'll figure out something, those two teams?
No, because
it's Danny stuck in his way of winning, and Golden State saying, we're not giving you all of that.
Yeah, because Golden State wants to also, we want to compete post-Steph. The Warriors or the Jazz are saying, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
No.
Also, why are you thinking about post Steph? You still got like 2 to 4 great years of Steph, I think.
And that's
He's a shooter.
And that's the thing is like, why are you concerning yourself with that right now, especially with how the CBA is now? Like,
you're not building it with Pods. Pods isn't single-handedly leading that rebuild. So,
no. So I don't know.
Blazing Cowboys wants to know, do we think there's an above-average chance we have both JG and Ant on the roster opening night?
As of right now, yes. I think I would say that they're both going to be here. That status quo can change. I've talked to Ant. I don't think that anything would happen this year right now. I think everything's status quo with him. With Jeremy, nothing has changed from the standpoint of he's fine here. But again, things can change.
The Lakers don't feel desperate enough, and every pundit's noted it. Like, they might be better off to just wait for the regular season.
Mm-hmm.
Houston was mentioned randomly for Jeremy, but I don't think there's really been anything followed up.
That's only because the reason that exists is because Ime doesn't like kids.
Yeah,
Ime just wants he just give me veterans.
Yeah,
I mean that's true of every coach, but I think it's very true of Ime.
Lance wants to know if the roster's set for preseason or if we're hearing any other movement this summer.
As of right now, it's settled.
Yeah, I think this is kind of it. I think everybody should just mentally gear up for this.
Yeah. Again, something could change. Somebody could roll an ankle or tear a knee, get ready for camp or something like that somewhere, and they could need a big man. Or maybe word gets out that Time Lord is 100% healthy, and it seems like, all right, we'll give up real assets for him. Like, things can change, circumstantially between now and the beginning of the season. I don't expect them to, but I think holistically they are where they are right now.
Jake wants to know if we're iced coffee, blended coffee, or hot coffee guys in the summer, or do you get weird and go for a Red Bull? Energy drinks, for me, there's nothing better than an iced vanilla latte. I will answer this first since I'm the 4 a.m. morning guy. Yeah, you're an energy drink at all times. I can get down with a Celsius, but for the most part, I'm an iced coffee guy only. I will never do hot coffee. I don't even do it in the winter. Hot coffee makes me tired. It's so warm that it just kind of makes me too comfortable, whereas like iced coffee is kind of like a snap into like hello. So I'm an iced coffee guy.
I will say this: if I drink any coffee, iced coffee would be my preferred method. But also, I hate coffee. I think I've mentioned this before. I chewed for 20 plus years.
Yeah.
When I would run out of chew overseas, I would use coffee grinds. And so the idea and the smell of coffee, it does not give me like
snaps you back to those memories.
Not fun memories, and it was just like so. And usually, if I was doing that, and if I was out of chew and in a combat zone, things were probably not going well. So
chewing on coffee, PTSD.
Yeah, like it's just like that connotation alone, and I think it tastes like crap. So yeah, I am as you see. Look, Ghost, you want to sponsor the stream? Go for it. You know this. I mainline this stuff regularly.
There's a person in our work that basically bagged you while you were in Vegas for that. They just went off about how you're obsessed with Ghost, and Ghost is the grossest.
We're gonna have to talk about this.
We'll talk about it off the air.
It's delicious.
But we're down for them to be on the pod, though.
Yes.
Like, yeah, we can get down with that. Jared wants to know what trade talk. Did you hear any rumblings in Summer League? And another kind of question.
Very quiet at Summer League. It was like people
the
came
Summer
together.
League sounds like it sucked, and you had a good time with your wife, but ultimately didn't really need to go down.
Yeah, I mean, I do because in the sense of like being there and around. I mean, the only local media that were there were myself, Sean Hyken, and Brennan Green.
Only accredited, non-team affiliated writer was Hyken. I was a little surprised by that.
Yeah, and I mean, I write, but I'm not a beat reporter.
But you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. I'm with you. Sean sent that tweet out, and people were like, "What? Marang's not down there?" And I was literally sitting next to him when he sent it. I'm like, "No, I'm not a writer, guys. Like, I write. I'm a radio
the Oregonians
host
not
who
sending
writes."
writers down. That's the paper note.
It was certainly interesting that the Blazers had a top 10 lottery pick, and there's only 3 of us down there from the entire market. So,
Die Mad. It's a Not a very encouraging name there. Sandbag for Flag or bloopers for Cooper?
I heard poop for Scoop. Or no, or poop for Coop, sorry.
Poop for Coop is out there. I still think Capture the Flag
I think
is
Capture
the
the Flag is
best.
the best. Yeah, I think that was the best.
But I'm in on Sandbag for Flag or bloopers for Coopers or poop for Coop. I like them all. Chris wants to know any rumblings about game or physical improvements from non-summer league players. Curious what Tumani and Walker are up to specifically. They have been there, and Tumani got interviewed in their last game on the sidelines by NBA TV, so that was cool to hear from him.
It's the one thing about being there is I don't get to see the on TV stuff.
Yeah, he had a fan. He had like 3 fans right behind him, and they were like,
I love Two is a great dude.
He was giving him compliments. He's like, yeah, these are my guys.
Two is genuinely like good people. I didn't get to talk to him there. I know he's got a camp in Belgium that he was very excited to go home for, to put together, because Two is the only NBA player from Belgium right now. So he's a big deal when he goes home.
Yeah,
it's like Denny going home to Israel. Like, it's a big deal.
Rui in Japan. Yeah,
it's a very big deal when you have like a dude in the NBA. I talked to Bari for maybe 5 minutes. Looks great. His fashion sense is immaculate. He's carrying that torch from Jeremy Hard. He took the Jeremy Grant crash course in fashion, and now he's off doing his own thing. But yeah, everyone wanted to make a big deal about Shaedon, the picture that went out like 2 weeks before Summer League of him like looking swole, and a part of me was just like, yeah, he's a 21-year-old NBA player, guys. Like, that's what they look like when they work out.
I didn't want to crap on it too much because I'm just glad to see him in the weight room, and it seems like he's trying to make himself better, and I was happy.
But that's
also like, has anybody ever lifted? Like, Joe Blow lifts for like 40 minutes. You look swole.
That's what you do. Like, that's what actors do before they go do scenes.
Yes.
Like, they go lift weights so that you get the pump, and then you like
Hemsworth veins just naturally stick out, and his arms are
that's steroids, but
Well, I mean, it is steroids, but also it's like, yo, Chris Evans, go bench press like 12 times before you do this.
Go curl real quick. Also, if you drink 1 drop of water, we're gonna cut you.
Yeah, yes, exactly.
Dehydrate yourself for 3 days before we shoot this scene. But no, I mean, a lot of like this going on. Little wave. Hey, what's up, guys? Back and forth as they were being escorted by NBA security in and out. Good news is they didn't get caught on TV saying anything untowards about Bronny James.
Well, at least Jalen kind of defended himself. Was like, hey, he could be great, and it's a flex by his dad. He's just being honest.
I hate that they ran that. I hate that they got that clip up.
I mean, that's unfortunately that's the NBA, man. That's media.
They love that crap.
They love it. It's swimming in crap. Zach wants to know a big if, but if Rob can prove he can be healthy and play half a game, would you consider a long-term center duo of Clingan and Rob, where you can be more defensive-minded, a lot more salary efficient at the center spot? I think we've heard from the team a couple times.
They love
talked about on the pod. They love Rob.
Yeah. Like, I know for a fact they love Rob.
Yeah.
But, the health concerns are real, and I don't know if they can have that long term.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. Like, the idea of Rob Williams when healthy, like, you saw it. He could be a defensive player of the year. Like, Marcus Smart should not have won that award. It should have been Rob. That's how good he is. So, yeah, I think in a perfect world, sure. But,
Kind of upsets me that I'm going to have in my lifetime, I'm going to have to explain to a grandchild maybe one day. Marcus Smart was a good defensive player, but Marcus Smart's going to have a deep boy and Drew Holiday's not. Because in my life, Drew has been to me
he's the best guard defender in the past 15 years.
It's been, he's
Tony
definitely
Allen?
up there. Yeah.
Tony Allen? Probably best guard defender than Tony Allen?
Yes. Just you watch it and you go, yep, that guy ain't moving.
Yeah, good luck.
Brad wants to know how much will having Clingan practice to practice against help Scoot and others with finishing around the rim. We talked about this a little bit, but circling back, just having him in camp and working with Scoot and having Jeremy on the outside and Shea on the wing and Denny kind of cutting or whatever.
Scoot better learn how to finish real quick, or Donovan's going to send your shit. Like, that's what I'll tell you right now.
Yeah.
Like, every player that I talked to, so when we went in there for practice in between games, before we, put the mics up and do the questions, I'm just talking to coaches, I'm talking to players, and I was like, so what do you think of Donovan? Every single one of them fuck, he's big. He's so big. Like, he protects the rim, dude. He's a shot blocker. Like, it just, every single player, every single coach was just like, man, rim protection, rebound. Like, they kept saying the same things. Not, oh, it's just passing, or, hey, he can really shoot it. Like, the first thing out of everyone's mouth is he can really protect the rim. He is a deterrent. Like, you just turn away. He's so big. Then they would start talking about everything else. But that's the thing that he's just so big, dude. He's just so big.
Yeah, it was it's a stupid thing to point to. There's certainly more to the game, but like when we talked about those guys going into the draft, and I liked Clingan a whole hell of a lot. Mm-hmm. It's why I was pretty open if they went Edey. If they would have not traded for Denny and took Edey at 14. I know Edey's had some ups and downs for sure, but it's just like having massive human beings out there sometimes. It changes how things operate. Now, we'll see what Edey is, but so far, it's been nice to have Donovan. We're running kind of the end here with these questions, so I'll ask this one. What does Shea have to show us next year? We asked earlier about rookie contract extension stuff, and I think we're lockstep on that. What for you, because I tweeted a couple weeks ago what like an optimistic, realistic thing of what they could do. What is Shaedon season to you? For you to go, oh, he took a step. Man, I feel great about this.
Consistency. Not just availability, but consistency in effort and execution and what he does night in, night out. Because that's the difference. Because the talent is there. Like, unabashedly, just talking to evaluators around the league, they're all like, man, if he puts it together, man, if he's consistent, man, if he's healthy, like, he's a 6'5", absolute monster athletically, that if he can put it together night in, night out, like, does he need to be a 20-point per game scorer? Probably not this year. Would I like to see that? Yeah. I think it's, let me see like 18, 5, and 5 from you. Like, let me see.
About what I said.
Let me see you create 18, 4, and 4. Like, let me see you do some stuff. Let me show me 36% 3-point shooting plus. Show me that you're good with the ball and without the ball. Show me the defensive effort is going to be there. Because if you do those things, you're going to get that $200+ million the next year. It's that simple. If not, like, I don't think Shaedon is necessarily in this group because his story is yet to be written, so to speak. God, that sounds so philosophically douchey. But the whole idea of, like, if you're not a max guy, like, what are you in the league? That is still very much up for discussion around the league. Like, Brandon Ingram is in for a world of hurt.
I think he's realizing it right now.
Julius Randle is in a world of hurt. Zach LaVine, those guys that, like, they're good players. Don't get me wrong. But those good players that aren't, that you have to squint, and I mean hard, like, max deal? A shitty team.
Yeah, but to your point, like, not everybody's a max player. So,
but that's what I mean. Like, not even close though. I think the haircut players are going to have to take on that level. It was like, well, let's just use a fictitious number. Like, a max player is $50 million a year. Like, I'll pay him 48. 35?
Yes.
Like, that's where I'm at. Like, the difference between, like, because you can't have players who don't live up to their salary slots on your roster anymore when you're making that much money. Now, you can if you want to be a crappy team. Like, I asked somebody this, not even somebody, I asked a dozen people this or more. Brandon Ingram at 50, Jeremy at 30.
Jeremy at 30, it's not even close.
Like, it's like everyone, the same exact answer.
Not even close.
Same exact answer over and over. Didn't care about him being 4 years longer, being 5 years older. Nobody cared. Nobody cared. And
I also saw B.I. play big games, and he, like, didn't show up.
But, like, that tells you exactly what you actually need to know about how Brandon Ingram should probably be paid. Now, if Brandon Ingram makes $35 million a year, do you care? No. So could you talk yourself into 38? Probably. 40?
Yeah.
No.
40 is when you start to lose me.
It's like, oh, I don't know, man. 40 a year, that's a heavy freight for a guy that, I don't know, you know? And I think, and this isn't to say Shaedon falls in this boat, but if he doesn't deliver, I think he finds himself in that boat. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, 100%.
So
I don't want to see them give a max contract
No.
after a year of like, I don't know about that.
and I don't think they will. So I do believe that they will, like the players that are in that vein will see a real change in how they're paid.
But they need to start seeing. I see the thing about Shea that's interesting. Bi's in this, Randall's in this. Somebody's got to start it, right? Like
I think it's going to happen with Brandon because I think he's going to hold
absolutely.
out for what, like, because that's what he thought this year. It's like, I'll go to All NBA and then I'll get the guaranteed slot.
Mm-hmm.
Who is he getting All NBA over in the West?
Well, but this is my point: is I think guys like Shaedon will see Bi and they'll see his deal and they'll go, "Oh, yeah, my numbers aren't better than his." And
meanwhile, you've got Brunson taking less money, and all of a sudden teams are going to lord that over players too.
Yeah.
Which, probably not a best thing for the players' union. They probably weren't thrilled about that. Not probably.
Which
they weren't.
Mind your business. Like Brunson wants to take what Brunson wants.
Quit pocket watching.
Exactly. Yes. Thank you. A couple more, and then we'll wrap it up here.
Yeah.
Because I am playing really hurt right now. Dick Burns, is there any concern internally with Kris Murray? Hasn't looked great. Also apologizes to me for assuming I was a vegan. That is okay, Dick Burns. It's okay. I glow off vegan.
You have a vegan starter kit.
I got a vegan look to me. I know it. It's okay. I know where I'm at. Northeast Portland, stand up.
No, in fact, I talked to the members of the front office. I think they're totally fine with Kris. They want to see the improvement for sure, but I don't know. Nobody's panicking.
Got a lot of time too, I think, before you get to panic.
No, you non-lotto picks, you get 4 years. That's just the reality.
Yeah.
Now, if a deal came up or he had to be included, I don't think they would hesitate in the sense of.
I don't think they would either.
You know what I mean? Like, we got to really make sure we hold on to him like unbelievably tight. Do they think they like him? Yeah, I know they love him as a person. So
good dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. Couch Coach asks, after your time at Summer League, any buzz around how Sharpe and Scoot are progressing this offseason? I know Sharpe had some run with Canada. Any word on how he looked?
He was back pretty quick. He did not practice with Canada in Las Vegas. He was with the Blazers before they went down to camp. So,
is any buzz on him, though? Have you heard? Did anybody say anything? Or is it just kind of like, he's working out, he's getting his stuff together and wait and see?
It was more that, which... not necessarily thrilled about, but Scoot was working with his guy back home, and then, as I understand it, he was working with one of Steph's trainers who helped Steph sort out his footwork, which is something that I'm certainly thrilled to hear. I think he's going to do the Rico Hines runs back and forth down in LA, and then get some runs down in Miami. Which is what you want to hear. Like, as everybody's like, he's at Summer League. I'm like, I want him at those. That's where I want him.
That's the real FU pickup games that aren't on TV.
Those are where you go get better.
Yeah. You grow up in the league in those games.
Yeah. So that's what I've heard about those guys. Shea, I have heard is totally healthy now, but beyond that, that's where those guys are at right now, as far as I know.
Yeah. There we go. There's most of the 98% of the questions. Thank you guys for getting them in. We always appreciate it. Good questions, and welcome back, man.
There you go. One thing real quick, because I've had a bunch of people ask me about this.
Yeah.
Justin Minaya got a two-way deal because A, he's gotten better, and B, because he is a tone setter. You cannot go into the gym and play for the remix or work in the development or be with the young guys and dog it when Justin Minaya is giving 110% every single time he's on the floor.
I'm cool with that.
That is why I have people like, why are they bringing him back? Number one, he's probably their best or second best player at Summer League so far. He's been very good. He's knocked down his threes. He's hit he's attacked his closeouts, finished at the rim. He's worked really well off Donovan Clingan. He's played really well defensively. Like, he's been an effort and intensity and IQ guy, and he is like I talked about him changing his shooting form, and it wasn't so much changing it as much as working with Gil, one of the player development coaches. He's a lefty, so it always looks good, but of really focusing on staying in line. Mm-hmm. And making sure his elbow doesn't drift. We started talking about it real quick, and I was like, were you feeling that elbow kind of kick out, and that was causing that deviation? He's like, yes, exactly that. He goes, now I know kind of what I'm looking for, and if I miss, I know immediately, like, oh, it was this. Like, I'm putting words in his mouth, but he essentially said, like, I'm getting more in tune with my body as far as, like, knowing, like, the immediate feedback stuff. as opposed to having to like watch it back. He knows where he's supposed to be within his jumper, with his footwork, with his knees, with his hips, where his alignment needs to be, and his confidence. Like when he catches and shoots now, it's catch, boom. He just lets it go. And I think Jackie Shway, the same exact thing. Those 2 threes that he took, you will not see a guy at Summer League look more confident shooting the ball than that man did on those shots.
Yeah.
And I think you're starting to see that with Justin too. And I think that's the thing that you're missing with Kris. And Kris will openly tell you, like, it's a me thing. Like, I've asked other players on the team about him, and like, he shoots it in practice. So it's just it's a mental thing. And I don't think most fans truly understand just how much of that really is a thing for so many players, being able to take it from point A to point B.
Well, they tip off in 58 minutes from right now as we're recording the podcast against the Hornets. So we'll see what they can do tonight if most of those guys play.
Well, thank you guys for being here. We appreciate you. That's a Friday on July, 19th? Yeah, July
19th, yeah.
The Blazers do have one more Summer League game even after this game. I think they're still mathematically alive.
I think I saw Holdall say that they're technically still alive.
I think they need to win by like 22.
It's a point differential thing at this point, yeah.
I think they need to win by like 22 to get there, if I remember right.
They probably won't, but
hey, we'll see what happens out of that. Thank you all for being here. You can email the show, jackramsays@gmail.com. You can find us on social media at Danny Marang, at Brandon Sprague, at Jack Ramsays. You can catch Brandon every morning, 6 to 9 a.m. with his co-host, Andy Dirk Johnson, on 1080 The Fan. You can catch me and my co-host, Dusty Hira, noon to 3, also on 1080 a.m. The Fan. I'll have some more Blazers-related news here in the next couple weeks.
Oh, hello.
Little tease.
Okay.
The schedule release is less than a month from today.
I love it.
Dun, 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 dun.
Bam.
So we should get a slow trickle of Blazers-related news over the next couple weeks as well along those lines. So thank you all for being here. We appreciate you. We love you. Like, rate, review, subscribe, share us with your friends, share us with your family. Help us grow the show. Do all of the things. I will probably do a Summer League wrap-up review on Patreon, and then we will start doing more film sessions. Now we have a little more film from Summer League to focus on with Donovan Clingan. So thank you all so very much. We appreciate you. We love you. Take care. Talk soon. Bye.